So hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your girl Barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. So in our previous video, we covered the whole story of Ifunanya Moka. I'm not going to repeat any part of it. If you want to hear of the story, you can make recourse to our last video. We had it in details there. In today's video is going to be me sharing my own opinions and my own thoughts. No, today is not one of those videos where I ask you, what are your thoughts? This group said this and this group said that. No. I am going to be with my full chest divulging my own thoughts. Of course, you can share yours as expected. And I believe that I am in such perfect position to share my own personal thoughts or my thoughts about this subject from many perspectives. First, as an Igbo person who is very conversant of these cultures that exist. Second, as a married person, a married woman who is also abreast of in-law relationship and relatives and the dynamics of a typical Nigerian marriage when it comes to relatives and extended family. Next, as a lawyer who is aware of what the law says and the law stands when it comes to these kinds of matters. And lastly, as a banker or an ex-banker who have spent almost a decade of my life in the financial sector, working in 3 different commercial banks in Nigeria and understudying, having a first-hand experience of people's behavior around money and around finances. I think I am more than qualified. I am in such a good position to give you a holistic view and advice when it comes to this Ifunanya Moka's story. I'll dive straight into it. So if you're new here, you're seeing my face for the first time, or if you've been watching without subscribing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give the video a big thumbs up already, drop your thoughts and your comments. You do not need to agree with me. Let us share our thoughts, let us rub minds down in the comments and stay glued because we have so much more coming your way. First, your siblings are not your next of kin. Dear men, dear Igbo men, your siblings should not be your next of kin. Before you get married, your brothers, your sisters, your siblings are a part of your nuclear family. But as soon as you get married, your siblings become your extended family. In Nigeria, sadly, especially amongst the Igbos, we come from a culture where it is painfully believed that a man's siblings have more authority over him and his properties, even more than his wife and children. This deeply flawed mindset has led to countless cases of betrayal, of injustice, and even violence amongst families. Now, in traditional Igbo societies, where we mostly practice patrilineal systems, patrilineal inheritance, a man's properties and his belongings stays within the male bloodline of the family. Females were not allowed inheritance rights, and the standard culture from back then was that widows and wives do not get a take or a share or a part from a man's properties. And so if he has only daughters, his nuclear family gets nothing. His properties and wealth will pass to his brothers or his male relatives. And in the event he has male children who haven't come of age yet, since women are traditionally prohibited from inheriting or even holding ancestral property, title in ancestral property, even in temporal status, these properties, the practice from back then is that these properties will be held in trust for the children by the uncles or the male relatives in the family until when the children come of age. The male children, emphasis on male, when they come of age to manage wealth by themselves, then the properties will revert. As expected, such oppressive culture gave birth to marginalization, exploitation, abuse, and greed, such that it now became common in Igbo land that you see brothers fighting over a man's properties, even when he has a wife and children, when he left behind a wife and children. You see these brothers, these Igbo brothers, throwing the widow and her children out of her husband's house, especially if she didn't bear a male child. Now, despite times have fast changed and people are getting education, enlightenment, exposure, and better understanding, it will surprise you to know that in modern day 2025, many siblings still believe that they and not the man's immediate family should be his next of kin. This thinking is not only flawed, it is very, very dangerous. In Nigeria, with weak systems, rewriting this narrative, both culturally and even legally, will be very difficult. It will eventually happen. It might take centuries, but it will be slow and difficult. Because when there is an oppressive system that people are benefiting from, they would mask it as tradition. It is our tradition, and they will resist change. So what do you do when you find yourself in a society like that? The burden is upon you to protect your family. The burden falls on you as a man to protect your family. In this case, I am very curious as to the kind of leg, that's Nigerian English, the kind of audacity, the leverage that Mr. Peter had given his siblings. Because if during his lifetime they can have the audacity to displace his child and claim ownership to his affairs, and just where he's alive to correct it or rebuke them, they were so emboldened to assert such rights over him and what he owns. I am deeply concerned as to how Mr. Peter has portrayed his family, or the kind of discussions that he has with his brothers. That even when his daughter rescued him in a near-death situation, they were still claiming rights and suing her and filing for, even trying to sue her in America while the man is alive. No. There must be some underlying things and messages that we're not aware of. From my experience, in my time at the bank, I must give it up to a good number of men, because men are waking up too. From my experience, it gave me some relief to see a good number of men choose their wives as next of kin. And for those that do not choose their wives, they choose their children. It was only a very few percentage of men that still chose their siblings or their brothers as next of kin, even while being married. A very tiny percent. As a matter of fact, let me let you in on this on this secret, on this experience of mine. More men than women choose their spouses as next of kin. So there are more percentage of men choosing their wives as next of kin than women choosing their husbands. More women choose their children as next of kin, putting their children as next of kin. While for the men, it's almost like maybe 40% wife, 40% choose their children, then the other 20 maybe others. But I find from my experience that more men would rather put their wives than more women putting their husbands. That is a discussion for another day. We're not going to discuss that today, but let me know down in the comment section what you think about that. But there are still these rare situations I come across when you see a married man, putting his sibling as next of kin. Verily, verily, I say unto you today, if you are a man, married man with a wife and children, and you are still putting your extended family as your next of kin, the only word I have for you is, I feel so sorry for you. It's not like the next of kin in banking means anything. I have explained next of kin severally. Next of kin in banking, unlike the assumptions of a lot of people, that is the next of kin that takes your money when you die. No, nothing concern bank with next of kin. It is whoever brings a letter of administration or execution that we give the money to. So you can put anybody there. But it is just the thoughts and the mindset behind that decision that concerns me, because people put those next of kin with the assumption that they are the ones that would inherit what they have. Dear married men, your siblings are not your next of kin. Your extended family should never have prevalence over your nuclear family. And that is why when you want to seek a letter of administration in courts, you see the hierarchy of those that can apply. Let me just read the first four for you. So you can understand it's even common sense. The hierarchy before you can approach the courts to get a letter of administration for a dead person, the first person that the court will consider is the surviving spouse, either husband or wife. That is the first person entitled to apply. The second step, the second person legally, are the children of the deceased person, whether biological or legally adopted. If the spouse is unwilling or unavailable, uninterested, the next that the court would grant consideration are the children. Do you want to know the third? Can you guess in the comment section? Brother? Who? Let me tell you. The third are the parents of the deceased persons. So the parents even rank higher legally than the brothers and sisters. Legally, you are more related to your parents than your brothers. Oh yes. So if that deceased person does not have a spouse and does not have children, the next in line are the parents. And the fourth then becomes the siblings, full blood siblings, brothers and sisters. And after the full blood siblings, then the half blood siblings. I don't want to go further down, but that is the hierarchy. How can siblings come before children, before spouse? Dear relatives, your brother's money is not your money. Get a life, for goodness sake. Because you might feel like the people that do these things are not on YouTube listening. Look at the caliber of these Ifunaya's uncles. One of them lives in America. You would think that he's exposed. There's only these village people that do this. The other one lives in Abuja. These are seasoned men and women. There are still educated illiterates that still have these mindsets, that are still oppressing wives and their children and disinheriting them from their father's properties. So these people, they live around us. They exist amongst us. In this story, we saw the court documents of the sister of Mr. Peter suing Ifunanya, claiming that she wants to squander her father's money. Please, if a child does not have a right to her father's estate, is it you, the sister? You can imagine such entitlement is mind-boggling. I have never seen anything like this. So you, the sister, the one that should squander it. Dear men, protect your family from these wicked brothers and these blood-sucking sisters, especially if you know that you come from a greedy, entitled, and myopic family. You are seeing their behavior even when you are alive. Protect your family. And you can do so by writing a will. Public declaration on the stance as to who should inherit you. Let the whole world know your position in your lifetime. Co-ownership of properties. Full disclosure of assets. There are some men that their wives do not know what they are worth. Their wives do not know where their monies are. They are hiding. Tomorrow when they die, you think the bank will call your wife and say, madam, come and take, your husband has 50 million in this account. Your husband has 1 million in this account. Come and use it to train your children. In your wildest dreams, which you think the Nigerian bank is going to do that? Your money would rot while your family suffers because you are hiding your assets. If you're a man and you do not trust your wife, you do not trust your children, that means you are the one that has a problem. Let your relatives know their place. Do not permit them to overstep their boundaries in your lifetime, because some of these things come from how these men present their family. Dear men, please be careful. Secondly, second point, the relationship that you have with your wife, your ex-wife or your estranged wife, whatever issues you have, try your best to minimize the way it affects your relationship with your child. Do not create enmity with your child based off of the relationship or the enmity you have with the child's mother. And I've been emphasizing this point severally on this channel. You see, far often in our society, we see men walk away from their children because of the quarrels and the broken relationships that they had with that child's mother. That sometimes when a relationship goes bad, some men end up despising the children that were born from that woman. Oh yes. Some take the easy way out, the loser's approach. Now her mama no agree, make her see her, make she chop the pikin. Forgetting that your ex-wife is not related to you by blood. She is connected to you by covenant. So when that marriage breaks, that is the end of the covenant, right? The marriage has been dissolved. There is no relationship again. But your child is your blood, your flesh and blood. So you may owe your ex-wife respect, but you owe your child absolute commitment and dedication. And that responsibility is lifelong. There is no dissolving of it like marriage. Some will come and say, the mother is the one poisoning the child's mind against me. The mother. Perfect excuse to back out. Perfect reason to abandon their roles as fathers. Let me tell you the truth. Children know. Children hear. Children listen. Children figure out. They find out. They see for themselves. They remember. Nobody can poison anybody's mind forever. One day, that child would come of age and they would be able to appraise and judge the matter of the strengths of their own intuition and knowledge. They will eventually know who was at fault and they will know who the toxic parent was. Don't you know? Obi will never be a boy forever now, and Ada will not be a tata forever. Those children, they will grow and they will know. So children who were raised in a home or born in a family of parental conflicts will one day look back and realize who was trouble, who gave up, who was making the house hell, and who fought to be present. Fatherhood is not a favor. When you have that wrong notion in your mind that fatherhood is a favor, then you would expect a medal for everything you do. For the barest minimum, you expect accolades. Do your best and strive for it. And I promise you that your sacrifices will not go uncultivated. Because the love and the presence that you show your child or your children today might be your salvation tomorrow. In Ifunaya's case, anybody that has eyes and ears for details may sense that Ifunaya's parents may not be cool. Yes. First, retired back to Nigeria without the wife, left the family, came back to Nigeria. It's not like there was a serious business that he has established he was doing, went back to retire in the village, right? Most men that retire back home either retire with their wives or they're in constant visits. Wife will visit husband, daddy will visit sometimes. But in all of that conversation of these 4 years or 6 years that daddy was back, there was no mention of when mommy came to see my daddy or when daddy came to see. Secondly, if he mentioned how 6 months went without hearing from her father, how the communication dwindled, and at the time, the communication just went off. A man, a husband and a wife that are cool, even 1 week is too much. You don't hear from your husband for 1 week, you raise alarm. It won't even get to up to 6 months. You will call the village, you will call the Igwe, you will call everybody, neighbors, uncles, best friend. But according to Ife, 6 months went, she didn't hear from her father. So obviously, the mother too didn't hear from him. So there may have been some tension between them. And even when Ife reported that he had a stroke in 2020, there was no mention of, mommy visited or mommy. There was no mention of any visit throughout this 5-year period before this crisis from 2017 when he relocated to 2022. So one may assume that mommy and daddy were not very cool. But regardless of how this relationship was between Ifunaya's father and mother, her father ensured that he maintained a bond with his children and he stayed close and their communication was unwavering. And that was why when the communication pattern changed, they were quick to notice and she was quick to swing into action. If it was an absentee father, do you think before the child will even notice that, how far my popsy, it might have been too late. Be present, show up, maintain a bond and a relationship with your children. Give them a call. Pay that school fees today. Fight to be in your child's life. Ifunaya did not go through all she went through, including risking her life. Do you know the kind of risk of life that lady went through? You don't understand you don't understand what it means to have a land issue in Igbo land and you're in the village. Both physical and spiritual attacks. But she stood unwavering. Do you think she did that because of their father is rich or her father is affluent or powerful? No, she did it purely because of the love that she has for him. The relationship that they had nurtured. So that old mentality of abandoning your children and going on to live your best Arabanco life and telling yourself, convincing yourself that don't worry, my children will come back for me. When they grow up, they go look for me. That one are old school. That one does not happen again. Children of this generation, they ain't coming back to look for you. One day you will see yourself as a story on podcasts. Nobody's coming back to look for anybody again. Please be present in the lives of all your children, all of them, because you do not know the one that would be your savior in the future. Echidime, the future is pregnant. You do not know. That child may be the only thing that will stand between you and destruction one day. Do not jeopardize the gifts of a child. Thirdly, home is where safety is. There is a very common saying that home is where the heart is. But I personally have grown to believe that home is where safety and peace is. So any place and anybody that has the capacity and the potential, the propensity to rid me of my peace and my safety, that place and that person is not home. For many Africans, Nigerians, especially amongst we the Igbos, there is this strong emotional and cultural pull to return home. I mean, we Igbos back then, we used to travel to our village every December, sometimes every Easter. You see a man living in a small rented apartment in the city, but in the village, he will first build his mansion in the village first. So there is this strong emotional and cultural pull with the home, with the motherland. It's almost seen as a full circle moment to rest in your Obi, the land of your ancestors, amongst your people, and close to your roots. But this Ifunanya story has forced us to ask a very hard question. What happens when the home that you have built and hoped to return to becomes a place of danger? What purpose exactly does it serve? Ifunanya's father returned back home, seeking peace, community, and a sense of belonging, only to face neglect, humiliation, and betrayal in the hands of his own family. I love the idea of returning home. I love the communal life. But you see, that idea of returning home must be accompanied with wisdom, with planning, with due consideration, putting into perspective the current state of things. For example, the way the East was 15, 20 years ago is not the same way it is today. It must be accompanied with boundaries and precaution, because home should never be where your life ends in misery. Any culture without caution is cruelty to oneself. So please, in all of your planning, make your plans and put your investments where it matters the most. Plan your retirement with your safety and security as permanent considerations. Don't be blackmailed to believe that you didn't live dignified if you didn't die in a certain place. If you love home and home is safe and secure, by all means. But if it's a death trap, please reconsider, because we only live once. And lastly, my fourth position on this story is that we must prioritize empowering our children. You see, one of the most remarkable things about Ifunanya's story is how bold, confident, and fearless she was, even in the face of family hostilities, village politics, police back and forth, cultural resistance. She didn't waver. She didn't sit and complain from afar, expecting her brother or her brothers to go and champion the cause. She moved like a bull, flying across continents, faced her father's abusers, and reclaimed his dignity, literally saving his life. Do you think that kind of boldness appears overnight? There is this YouTube channel that I watch sometimes. I think it's called Soft White Underbelly, something like that. And because I'm sometimes curious to get into the minds of some people, some criminal elements, some people that behave certain ways, to understand why they act the way they do. So sometimes I'll watch these videos, and these videos document true life stories of people that we can call social deviants, druggies, prostitutes, those kinds of people. Their stories are always different, but you know, there's always one constant. Their foundations are always similar. You might see the true life story of maybe a crack addict, and you hear them start with stories like, my mother was a fentanyl addict, my dad was in jail, my dad was a meth addict, my mother committed suicide, and my grandfather was a molester. He started touching me when I was 3 and raped me until I was 17. It always starts from a dysfunctional family. And so when I hear some women whose heads and noses are being broken in their marriage to the full view of their children, and they sit there and say they are staying for their children, I shake my head, because I know that many times some of them are lying to themselves. They are staying there for themselves. They are staying there for fear. Because if you think deeply, the trauma you're exposing the children to may even affect them more than if they didn't have to witness that trauma. Family background and family foundation. A good percentage of how dogged, assertive, and courageous a child turns out, a good percentage, not all, it's in the way they were raised to speak up, to ask questions, to present themselves, to protect their own, and to stand for injustice. Parents who raise children with love and discipline, with confidence, not fear, with truth over baseless tradition, often end up raising children who do not shrink in the face of challenges. Ifunanya loves her father, quite all right, but her ability to stand up for her father and put up that fight was not just born out of love. It was nurtured by the strength and the awareness that had already been instilled in her. Dear parents, it always starts with us. Our greatest legacy may not be in what we leave for the children, but more of what we leave in them. Because what we leave for them might be taken away from them, might be stolen from them, but what we leave in them doesn't go away. So let's raise them not to be afraid or ashamed to stand up, even when it is unpopular. Let us teach them the power of Godfidence. If we did have plenty of Godfidence, let us leave them with tools and not trauma, and let us empower them for the rude uncertainty of this thing called life. These are some of my advice and my take home from this very emotional yet inspiring story of Ifunanya Mokwa, Ada Peter Mokwa. Please drop yours down in the comment section as we celebrate the unwavering strength of this beautiful, fearless Amazon called Ifunanya. Drop your thoughts down in the comment section. What points have you taken from this story? Drop your thoughts down in the comment section. So guys, yes, we have come to the end of today's video. If you're new here, you're seeing my face for the first time, or if you've been watching without subscribing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, drop all your comments down in the comment section, and stay glued, for we have so much more coming your way. It's me, your girl, Barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye.